My name is Mia. I'm 24 years old and work full-time. I've been dating a guy at work who's a year older than me for 3 years now, and we've decided to get married. In public, my mom behaved very differently. It happened when my boyfriend was around. I was prepared for her to say something mean to him, but she surprised me by being kind. The reason behind her behavior was that my boyfriend's dad held a high position in a big company, and my boyfriend was going to join that company after gaining more experience at his current job. My mom was thinking about the future and wanted to improve her image now so she could get help later on. Because my boyfriend believed my mom's act completely, I couldn't talk to him about what my mom was really like. My sister has always treated me like I'm beneath her. She would make fun of me, pointing out how differently our parents treated us. I have an older sister who's 3 years older than me. She's already married and lives away from our family home. I still live with our parents. My mom especially favors my sister a lot, which has always been clear to me. Even though my dad also seems to prefer my sister, he does care about me too, which is reassuring. I've been eager to move out of my parents' house and live with my boyfriend, but my mom won't let me for some reason. Even though my sister moved out to live with her husband before they got married, I can't understand why I'm not allowed to do the same. I think part of it is because my mom wants me around to help out at home, but part of it feels like she's being unfair. In public, my mom behaved very differently. It happened when my boyfriend was around. I was prepared for her to say something mean to him, but she surprised me by being kind. The reason behind her behavior was that my boyfriend's dad held a high position in a big company, and my boyfriend was going to join that company after gaining more experience at his current job. My mom was thinking about the future and wanted to improve her image now so she could get help later on. Because my boyfriend believed my mom's act completely, I couldn't talk to him about what my mom was really like. My sister has always treated me like I'm beneath her. She would make fun of me, pointing out how differently our parents treated us. I was fed up with my older sister who always acted like she was better than me, even though she's just 4 years older. She married a guy who's 2 years older than her and works for a well-known company, earning a good salary. She never let me forget it. But once she found out my boyfriend would soon work for his dad, an executive at a big company, she stopped bragging about her husband. My sister used to visit our parents almost every weekday. I'm not sure what she did with our stay-at-home mom, but when I got home from work, she'd look at me with pity and wouldn't offer any comfort. I work too, so I managed to save a bit of money each month for my future. It's not much, but it adds up. My sister, on the other hand, doesn't need to work because her husband earns enough. She's proud of their lifestyle, even though she didn't earn that money herself. "Have you saved any money for your future?" she asked me once. "Well, sort of. I have some in a bank account," I replied. "I withdrew it once for wedding expenses and it's safe for now. We're also saving for the wedding, so I'm doing some calculations." "I see," my mom remarked. "There was money in the safe." "Yes, temporarily," I said. I wondered why she was asking, but it turned out to cause a big argument later on. The expenses for our wedding were supposed to be shared by both families, but since his parents were more enthusiastic about the ceremony, they agreed to cover a larger portion. We decided to handle the down payment ourselves. When my sister got married, her in-laws also contributed significantly, which was a relief for our modest family. About a month later, as usual, my sister stormed into our family home. However, what caught my attention this time was her car. The car was parked proudly, almost flaunting itself. It was a popular model. I assumed she had bought it with her husband's money, but this time it was different. "Mia, have you seen my car?" "Huh? Your car?" I hadn't noticed." "That's good. Mom bought it for me." I was quite surprised. I couldn't help but wonder where the money came from. It wasn't a luxury car, but it was a new model worth nearly $30,000. I was astonished by how much my family favored my sister, even buying her a car. It was shocking. "You must be happy about this, right? Don't forget to thank Mia." "What? Why should she thank me?" I was completely baffled by what Mom was saying, but they both gave me a sly smile. "That's right. We used your money to buy it." "Huh? Thanks a lot, Mia." I didn't understand what they were talking about, and I felt confused. "The $30,000 in the safe, we used it to buy your sister's car. That was supposed to be your wedding fund, but it's okay, right? We're family," Mom said, giving me a mean grin. "But that wasn't my money. It wasn't even for my wedding." "Huh?" Mom's expression turned serious instantly. Thinking back on it now, it almost makes me laugh. My sister beside me was also surprised. I had already managed my money and returned it to my bank account. I hadn't even saved up to $30,000. But for some reason Mom was looking at me skeptically. Dad mentioned he hadn't withdrawn the wedding expenses yet. So isn't that different money in the safe? As we looked at each other, Mom and my sister seemed to be trying to piece together what they knew about whose money it was. I can't confirm whose it is. I said, but Mom thought I was bluffing and smirked at my uncertainty. I had seen an envelope marked $30,000 when I borrowed the safe from Dad before, so it's definitely not my money. Anyway, they said, "We're grateful to you, Mia. Take good care of the car. It's wrong to lay hands on someone else's money without permission." They both misunderstood things and just let the conversation drop, but Mom will regret this big mistake she made. My sister drove home in her new car and Mom went out shopping. I was left alone in the living room, feeling more and more eager to leave this house as soon as possible. Looking back, neither my mother nor my sister ever congratulated me on my upcoming marriage. Mom made a big deal out of my sister's wedding, celebrating joyfully when she heard the news. Meanwhile, both my sister and Mom practically pressured me into giving a $1,000 gift. Mom was thrilled and closely followed the details of my sister's wedding, eagerly looking at photos of the venue. However, when it came to my wedding, which was planned to be much more modest and affordable compared to my sister's lavish affair, she clearly showed her disappointment and gave me a cold response. Regardless, even before my sister got married, I had to endure constant bragging about her husband's income, looks, and personality. Information I never asked for kept coming my way. She would say things like, "Honestly, I doubt you'll ever find someone as amazing as my guy." It's the kind of thing a sister should never say to her younger sibling. I focused on my work, hoping to one day look back on my tough life at my parents' house and how I met my current boyfriend. He's a high achiever at our workplace, where we both work. As I mentioned earlier, he's soon moving to a major corporation where his father is an executive. Our current job is subcontracted by his father's company, so we earn a decent income. Initially, the company was discussing how much my boyfriend would transfer to his father's company after gaining experience at our current workplace. Supporting my boyfriend's growth and ensuring a smooth transition would benefit our business relationship with clients. When my sister first found out that my boyfriend worked at the same company as me, she made a rude comment, saying, "He's just like you." However, after I explained his future prospects, she went quiet. It might be because the company he's moving to is even bigger than my brother-in-law's company. My sister's patronizing attitude hasn't changed since we were kids. Our parents always favored her, buying her any toy she wanted without question. My dad, feeling sorry for me, would spend time playing with me. But my sister, who's good at pleasing others, sometimes manipulated him to keep us apart. I really dislike my sister. She's outgoing and talks energetically, whereas I'm not exactly introverted, but I'm quiet and often felt pressured to cater to my sister's preferences. From my mom's perspective, I always seem dissatisfied. While that perception isn't entirely wrong, I believe my mother misunderstands my true character. A week after my sister flaunted her new car, she came home as usual, and both she and my mother were relaxing in the living room while I stayed in my room. Suddenly, the door to my father's room next to mine swung open, and I heard him hurrying down the stairs. I could hear my father raising his voice, so I went downstairs to see what was happening. He was questioning my mother and sister alternately. It was there. I'm sure it wasn't there. No, really? In what form? In an envelope. Hey Mia, have you been in the safe lately? I only took out some money when you asked me to. My sister was clearly flustered and kept glancing outside, towards her new car. Mia, do you know anything about this? My mother looked at me with a shocked expression. Her face seemed to say, "Don't say a word, Mom and Sis already know more about this." Wait, hold on, what are you implying? I have nothing to do with this. What are you talking about? Despite them revealing the source and use of the money to me, I was shocked by their audacity to pretend they didn't know. And that car, I pointed at my sister's new car. Tell me Mom didn't buy that for you as a gift, right? My mother's face went pale, and my sister looked like she wanted to disappear. It was the first time I'd seen such expressions on their faces. That envelope is Mia's money, isn't it? I asked. But Mia just said she took it out of the safe. So whose money is it, if not Mia's? She's been saving it. I haven't withdrawn it yet. What's going on? Even if it's Mia's, you used it without permission. My mom kept stealing glances at my sister, who avoided eye contact. This is typical of my sister's behavior. Mom must be shocked because that money was supposed to be for renovating the house to make it accessible for our parents. I knew Mom had been urging Dad to let her mother live with us. She wanted to care for our grandmother, who had become frail after losing our grandfather a few years ago. While Dad's parents were well supported by nearby siblings, Mom had no siblings and her mother lived alone, so she hoped her mother could move in with us. We were even planning to make our home accessible to accommodate her. My parents believed that preparing the house now would be beneficial as they grew older. The $30,000 was specifically set aside for this purpose. My mother had mistaken it for my savings. Now what are we going to do? You knew we needed that money to make the house accessible, right? We've already signed the contract and construction starts next month. What's the plan now? Dad's angry questions overwhelmed Mom, leaving her tearful. My sister remained indifferent as usual. "We'll have to cancel the renovations," Mom whispered sadly. "No, absolutely not. Then Grandma can't move in. You need to talk to your parents. Can't we find another solution?" Dad slammed his hand on the table, raising his voice. "This is no joke. You need to figure this out. The only option left is to sell the car." "Wait a minute, selling the car isn't an option. Can't we find another way, maybe borrow from another source? Please, help us. I can't face my husband with this," pleaded Mom, now at odds with my sister after being so united in pressuring me earlier. Dad watched them with disbelief. Mom, realizing the gravity of her irreversible actions, was in dire straits, her plans to care for her parents now shattered. My sister attempted to play innocent with Dad, but he wasn't buying it this time. It was clear the new car parked outside was bought with the money from our safe, and Dad was growing tired of her attempts to avoid responsibility. "But you agreed to Grandma moving in. You promised to take care of Mom. Why the sudden change?" Dad's frustration grew. "Your parents are fine, with siblings nearby. My mom is alone, with no one close by." It was true, Mom's family lived out of state, far away, but now she was reacting out of desperation. Dad became even angrier, and a heated argument erupted, fueled by the financial betrayal. Blame was unfairly falling on Dad. Seeing my sister try to slip away, I quietly moved the car keys to Dad's side, preventing her escape. "If you're insisting on Grandma moving in, then take responsibility for it. What you did is no different from theft," I asserted firmly. Mom looked down, appearing resigned. Dad clarified that the money Mom used for the car was from the safe, and my sister was equally responsible. This angered my sister. "Dad, you've always been too forgiving of her," I said, my expression stern. "Don't you think it's unfair?" Even Mom misunderstood. It's clear Dad is troubled by my sister, who never seems to learn. She's stubbornly defensive, especially when it comes to me. "Just because it's my money doesn't give you the right to use it. I'm not the villain here. And what's with Mia marrying a man with a bright future? He's just benefiting from our parents' connections. I've always endured how my sister treated me, but this time, I couldn't take it anymore. Isn't it strange how your husband's family spoils him like that? I don't need lectures from someone as spoiled and naive as you." Even Mom, Dad, and my sister were taken aback by my outburst of anger. "Who are you calling naive and disgusting? I'm talking to you, the one who doesn't appreciate Mom, who bought you a car, and only cares about herself." My frustration peaked, causing my sister to step back. "By the way, my boyfriend's father is the executive at your husband's main client." I proposed a solution to Dad. At first he was surprised, but since it came from me, he, considering me the victim, accepted it. A week later, Mom announced she was giving up on the idea of living together. But Dad intervened. "You have $10,000 in your account, right? Take it all out." With that, Dad retrieved the blueprint and cost estimate for the construction. The initial estimate was $30,000, but by opting for less expensive plumbing fixtures, it could be reduced to $25,000. Mom listened quietly to Dad's explanation, nodding in agreement. "I can manage $10,000, which leaves enough for Maya's wedding, but I can't cover more than that." "We're still $5,000 short," Mom admitted, sounding resigned as she looked down. "The remaining $5,000 will have to come from Mia," Dad stated firmly. "What? Grandma's situation shouldn't be blamed, and Mom would be in trouble, right? This money is my safety net, saved up in case of emergencies." Mom covered her face with both hands, tears streaming down as she nodded. "Go ahead with it, Dad," I said. "Are you sure about this?" Dad asked, seeking confirmation. I nodded in agreement. Mom continued to bow her head, expressing her gratitude. "I've been cold to Mia all this time, causing her discomfort. I thought it was justified to use her money because it was hers, despite my behavior, and yet," she sobbed, taking my hand, "I'm really sorry. Thank you so much. In return, make sure you celebrate my wedding properly, as any mother should." After making some adjustments to the construction plan, the work began on schedule. The renovations went smoothly, and it was decided that my grandmother would soon move in with us. As for my sister, she didn't visit our parents' house for a while, but apparently she did apologize to them. While she didn't apologize directly to me, it seems she acknowledged her mistakes. Mom completely changed her attitude towards me, interacting in a much kinder manner. Perhaps it's because of the money and her feelings of remorse. As planned, my wedding went ahead smoothly. Both Mom and Dad appeared genuinely happy. Meanwhile, my sister's husband was busy ingratiating himself with my fiance's father, bowing respectfully and serving him drinks. It was quite a sight to see my sister's surprised expression when she realized my earlier concerns were true. With that, our family's major issue was resolved, and it seemed to bring closure to the challenges in my life as well. Interestingly, during the wedding, when a picture of my sister lovingly doting on me as a baby was projected, it seemed my sister quietly shed a few tears.
The new year was supposed to be a fresh start, but this time it brought a big surprise. The doorbell rang, breaking the quiet of my cozy home. I thought it might be a neighbor or a delivery person, so I opened the door casually, but I felt like my heart sank when I saw who was there. My sister Claire, who I hadn't wanted to see, and my ex-husband Ethan. Claire had her usual smug smile, looking almost proud next to Ethan. Seeing Ethan was like reopening an old wound. He looked arrogant and pretended to feel sorry. It had been 3 years since I'd seen them, and here they were, acting like nothing had happened. "Why are you here?" I asked, my voice trembling with shock. Claire laughed annoyingly. "Oh, look at that, Ethan." She's speechless. "What's wrong, Anna? Not happy to see your dear sister and loving ex-husband?" Ethan leaned against the doorframe, glancing around the room. "Yeah, Anna, we just thought we'd drop by, see how things are without us." I clenched my fists, trying hard not to slam the door on them. "This isn't your place anymore, Ethan. And you, Claire, shouldn't be here either." But they just smirked, unfazed by my attempt to stand up to them. Then Ethan said something that felt like a punch in the gut. "You know, Anna, I regret ever being with you. What a waste of my best years." Claire joined in, pretending to sympathize. Poor Anna, always falling short, even in marriage. Their mean words hurt, but before I could respond, another voice interrupted us. "Who's there, Anna?" It was my dad, George, who I wasn't expecting until later. Claire and Ethan looked surprised to see him, and their smirks disappeared as they shifted uncomfortably. "Dad, you're home early," I said, feeling relieved. George looked at the scene with narrowed eyes. "CLA, Ethan, what are you doing here?" Their confidence vanished under George's stern gaze. There was a tense silence. Claire finally spoke up. We just wanted to wish Anna a happy new year." George was skeptical. "Really? After all this time, you suddenly remember family on New Year's?" His tone was cold, hinting at hidden anger and disappointment. Ethan tried to regain control. "We also have some news, but maybe now's not the time." I knew their visit wasn't just about New Year's greetings. Their sudden arrival, smirks, and insults were all too familiar. A cycle of lies and manipulation. But I wasn't the same person they left behind. As they left awkwardly, promising to come back another time, I closed the door, feeling both relieved and anxious. Their return meant trouble, and this time, I had to be ready. After Claire and Ethan left, the house felt eerily quiet. My dad, George, sat opposite me, his face creased with worry. "Anna, what was that about? Why are they back?" I sighed, feeling the weight of old memories. "I'm not sure, Dad, but with Claire and Ethan, there's always a motive." George nodded grimly. "I remember how it all ended, how they hurt you. You owe them nothing, Anna." His support was comforting, but there was a part of the story he didn't fully grasp. The depth of Claire's manipulation. It dated back to our childhood, a time that should have been carefree but was overshadowed by Claire's selfishness. "Dad, remember my 10th birthday? Grandma's porcelain doll?" I asked, my voice tinged with sadness. George's face softened. "Of course, you cherished that doll." I nodded, the memory vivid. "Claire broke it on purpose, then blamed me. She cried to Mom, saying it was an accident caused by me." George looked surprised. "I never knew that. Your mother always thought it was an accident." "That was just the start," I said, feeling the pain of old memories. "Claire always acted innocent, and I got blamed. She knew how to trick everyone around her." I saw regret in George's eyes, realizing what he hadn't seen before. "I'm sorry, Anna. I should have seen it." "It's not your fault," Dad said, his voice filled with regret. "We were all fooled by Claire," I replied, taking a deep breath. "Even with Ethan, she played us both. They deserve each other." George reached for my hand, offering comfort. "What matters is you're away from their drama now. Don't let them pull you back in." I nodded, trying to force a smile. Talking with Dad reminded me that the past wasn't forgotten. Claire and Ethan's visit wasn't just casual. It hinted at more trouble ahead. That night, I couldn't sleep. Memories of Claire's schemes, how she always seemed better than me in our parents' eyes, how she effortlessly won Ethan over. It all haunted me. Her return meant trouble, and I felt a growing sense of dread. But amid the chaos in my mind, I started to feel determined. I wouldn't be a victim again. I'd confront Claire and Ethan. Whatever they were planning, I was ready to fight back. In the days after Claire and Ethan's visit, their words and smirks kept replaying in my mind. I threw myself into work, hoping to distract myself. but the past wouldn't let go. Remembering my marriage to Ethan, once filled with love, now felt like walking on thorns. It all started wonderfully. Ethan was charming, attentive, everything I thought I wanted. We were happy, or so I thought. But then things changed. Late nights, excuses, and avoiding my questions. I trusted him, ignoring my doubts and gut feelings. Then, one day, everything became clear. I came home early from a trip, excited to surprise Ethan. But I was the one surprised. I found Ethan and Claire together, laughing in our living room. It was a moment that shattered my world. The confrontation was a blur of tears, accusations, and painful truths. Claire showed no remorse, simply shrugging off my pain. "You were always too focused on work, Anna. Ethan needed someone, and I was there. It's not our fault he lost interest in you." Ethan's words were just as hurtful. "I thought I loved you, Anna, but Claire is different, more exciting. We were never right for each other." Their betrayal cut me deeply, shattering my heart and trust. The divorce was swift, with Ethan and Claire flaunting their relationship. I was left to piece together my shattered life, feeling foolish and betrayed. Sitting in my office, memories swirled, igniting anger within me. How dare they come back after what they did? How dare they disrupt my peace? But it wasn't just anger. It was a burning need for justice. I wanted them to feel a fraction of the pain they caused. Revenge, once repulsive, now seemed like the only way to close this chapter. I've decided. I'll confront them, demand answers, but I won't be the heartbroken wife this time. I'll be strong. They underestimated me once. They won't again. I dialed Ethan's number, my voice steady, my resolve unshakable. "Ethan, we need to talk. Meet me at the cafe on 5th Street tomorrow at noon." His surprise stammer was a small victory. "Sure, Anna. Tomorrow," he replied before the call ended. For the first time in days, I felt in control. The game had begun, and this time I was playing to win. The next day, the cafe was bustling. I spotted Ethan at a corner table, looking tense. His attempted smile didn't reach his eyes. "Anna, thanks for coming." "I wasn't sure you want to see me," he said, sounding unsure. "I don't," I replied sharply, sitting across from him. "But I need answers. Why are you and Claire back in my life?" Ethan squirmed. "Things haven't been great for us after we left. We've had some tough times." I felt a bitter satisfaction seeing him uneasy. "Tough times? You expect sympathy from me?" No, of course not," he stammered. "It's just that Claire is pregnant. We thought it's time to mend fences, for the sake of family." His words hit me hard. "Claire pregnant?" I felt a twinge of hurt, but skepticism took over. "And you expect me to what? Forgive you just like that?" I asked, my voice filled with disbelief. "It's not just that, Anna," Ethan said, avoiding my gaze. "There's the matter of your father's estate." So that was it, the real reason behind their sudden return. It wasn't remorse or reconciliation. It was greed. "You have some nerve, Ethan. You cheat, you leave, and now you come back for money." I felt my anger boiling over, my voice rising in the crowded cafe. "People can change, Anna. We've been through a lot. We just want a chance to start over, to be a family," he pleaded. "A family built on lies and deceit." I shot back, my heart pounding with anger. Just then, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Claire. "We need to talk. Alone. My place. Tonight." I glanced at Ethan, my mind made up. "Tell Claire I'll see her tonight. But understand, Ethan, this isn't a family reunion. This is me settling the score." Ethan looked taken aback as I stood to leave. I felt a strange sense of power. I'd been their victim for too long. But now, things were changing. I walked out, leaving Ethan behind, my mind racing. Tonight's meeting with Claire wouldn't just be a talk. It would be the start of my revenge, a chance to reclaim my dignity and make them regret crossing me. Leaving Ethan behind at the cafe left me with a whirlwind of emotions: anger, betrayal, and a newfound determination. Driving home, my mind buzzed with plans for confronting Claire later. I needed to brace myself against her manipulative ways. As evening approached, I stood in front of my mirror, mentally preparing. I saw a different woman from the one who once fell for Ethan or got overshadowed by Claire. Tonight, I was ready to face my past head-on. Claire's house was a sharp contrast to mine. Flashy, extravagant, a symbol of her and Ethan's shallow values. I knocked on the door, my heart racing but my resolve strong. When Claire opened it, she looked as poised and arrogant as ever. "Anna, come in. I'm glad you could make it." Her tone dripped with condescension, as if inviting me in was some kind of favor. Stepping inside, I took in the extravagant decor. "So Claire, why am I here? What do you want from me?" I asked, cutting to the chase. Claire led me to the living room, her movements graceful yet calculated. "I wanted to talk to you, sister to sister. It's been too long, and with the baby coming, I thought it's time we buried the hatchet." I almost laughed at her audacity. Bury the hatchet? After you stole my husband and now come back for my father's inheritance? Claire's expression hardened briefly before she composed herself. "Anna, let's be practical. Ethan and I need financial stability for our child. Your father's estate can help with that." Her greed was clear. "You expect me to just hand over what's rightfully mine after everything you've done?" "It's not just about the money, Anna," Claire said, falsely sincere. "It's about family. We're still sisters, after all." I stared at her in disbelief. "You lost the right to call me sister when you betrayed me." There was a heavy silence between us, tension thick in the air. Then Claire's mask slipped, revealing her true nature. "Fine. If you're going to be selfish, let's talk legalities. Dad's will favors the first grandchild. My baby will secure the inheritance for Ethan and me." Her words hit me hard. This was her plan, to use her pregnancy to manipulate our father's will in her favor. "You're unbelievable, Claire. You think you can manipulate everyone to get what you want?" "Not this time. I won't let you," I said firmly. Claire smirked, her eyes cold and calculating. "We'll see, Anna. We'll see how long you can keep up this act," she sneered. I turned to leave, my mind spinning. Driving away, a plan began to form. Claire and Ethan were playing a dangerous game, but now I knew the rules. It was time for them to realize I wasn't just a pawn in their twisted game. The days after my confrontation with Claire were filled with intense preparation for the looming legal battle over my father's estate. I sought out legal advice, determined to safeguard what was rightfully mine and my father's legacy from Claire and Ethan's greed. As I delved into the legal details, shocking news reached me. Ethan's business, once touted with confidence, had collapsed. They were drowning in debt, unable to sustain their lavish lifestyle. This revelation shed light on their sudden return and their desperation for the inheritance. Meeting with my lawyer, Miss Harper, we discussed our strategy. "They're financially and legally trapped," she noted, examining the documents. "Your sister's claim about the will doesn't hold up legally. We can challenge it." Miss Harper's confidence was reassuring, but I knew Claire and Ethan wouldn't give up easily. They were like cornered animals, unpredictable and dangerous. My resolve was tested sooner than I anticipated. One evening, returning home from work, I found Claire waiting on my doorstep, her expression a mix of defiance and desperation. "Anna, we need to talk," she said, her voice shaky. "I have nothing to say to you, Claire. This matter is with the lawyers now," I replied, trying to pass by her. She stepped forward, blocking my path. "Please, Anna. I'm not pregnant. It was a lie, a plan Ethan and I made to influence Dad's will." Her confession, though shocking, didn't surprise me. It was just another deceit in their long list. "So you've been lying all this time. What now, Claire? Ready to give up?" I asked coldly. Claire's eyes filled with tears, but they didn't sway me. "I don't know what to do. Ethan's business is ruined. We're losing everything. I need your help, Anna." Her plea for help, after all they'd done, was almost laughable. "You want my help after everything you've done? You're delusional," I said, pulling away from her. "The sister I knew died when you betrayed me. You made your choice, Claire. Live with it." Leaving Claire alone, I entered my house, closing the door on her and our past. It felt liberating. I was free from our toxic relationship. That night, in the quiet of my living room, I realized this was more than an inheritance battle. It was about my liberation, closing the chapter on Claire and Ethan's treachery and moving on. The following weeks were a whirlwind of legal battles. Claire and Ethan's desperation grew as their financial troubles mounted. Despite it all, I remained strong, with Miss Harper's help and my newfound resolve. The day of the court hearing arrived, the atmosphere tense and charged. The courtroom was cold, contrasting sharply with the simmering emotions within. Ethan and Claire sat together, trying to maintain a facade of unity, but their strained appearances betrayed their true feelings. As the proceedings began, Miss Harper skillfully dismantled each of their arguments. Claire's lie about her pregnancy was exposed, further weakening their case. I watched Claire as the reality sank in. The confident, manipulative sister I once knew was gone, replaced by someone consumed by the consequences of her actions. During a recess, Claire approached me, desperation in her eyes. "Anna, please. I know I don't deserve your mercy, but we're ruined. We have nothing." Her words, once persuasive, now had no effect on me. "You brought this upon yourselves, Claire. You chose greed and deceit, and now you must face the consequences." The final judgment was a clear win for me. The judge ruled in my favor, ensuring that the inheritance rightfully stayed with me. Claire and Ethan left the courtroom defeated, their schemes crumbling. But as I walked out, a sense of closure washed over me. This wasn't just a legal win. It was a personal victory over my past demons. Claire and Ethan's downfall was the justice they deserved. But for me, it marked a new beginning, free from the pain they caused. In the days that followed, I focused on rebuilding my life, leaving behind the shadows of Claire and Ethan. The scar they left would always be a part of me, but it no longer controlled me. I had become stronger, more resilient, and had a better understanding of myself and my values. As I sat in my garden one evening, watching the sunset, I understood that real victory wasn't in revenge or the pain of those who hurt me. It was in the peace and inner strength I discovered, the power to move on and embrace new beginnings. My husband surprised me by saying I should go back to my parents' house because my parents are already living in our house. I felt shocked by his sudden words, but he seemed to think he was being reasonable. He said, "Do you have a problem with that? Don't argue with me. I'm fine with divorcing you if you do." Lately he had been distant and unkind, and I had my own complaints. I had been thinking about divorcing him too, but I didn't think it was fair for him to kick me out of our home. I thought to myself, I'm the one paying $1,800 for our expenses. Does he even remember that? As I looked at him in shock, he got angry and said, "Leave this house now. My parents won't feel good if you're here." I didn't really get why I had to go, but I said, "Okay, I'll take all my stuff with me." Once I agreed, he seemed happy and said, "Then do it," and walked away. Right away, I called a shop to sell my things. My name's Emily, and I live with my husband, Robert, who's 5 years older than me. We met through mutual friends, and our first hangout turned into spending the whole day together. Robert mentioned he wanted to be a voice actor, and I was impressed by his deep voice. I've always liked soothing voices, so I felt drawn to him. It seemed like he felt the same because we exchanged numbers and decided to hang out more. Before we knew it, we were dating, even though we never really talked about it. I had just graduated from college and started working, so dating someone more mature seemed exciting. My friend Ashley was worried about the 5-year age gap, but I reassured her that it wasn't a big deal. I liked Robert a lot, and he felt the same about me, so I wasn't concerned. Eventually, Ashley agreed, trusting my judgment. Robert and I dated for about 3 years, and then he brought up the idea of getting married. I had already told my parents about him and his age, so they were excited to meet him. With their expectations in mind, I often wondered when he would propose. He ended up proposing during one of his usual visits to my apartment, where we just hang out and relax. It wasn't the most romantic setting, but it felt like something Robert would do, and I was okay with that. When he asked, I simply said, "Sure, let's get married." So maybe we were both a little casual about it. After that, we visited each other's parents, but I didn't really connect with Robert's parents. When we went to Robert's family home, it was filled with what looked like old-fashioned items, but they seemed to be fake. When we met Robert's parents, they were wearing expensive clothes and lots of flashy jewelry. They seemed like they were trying too hard to look rich. Our tastes and values were very different, and I didn't think we would get along. Robert's mom even made a rude comment about my appearance, which hurt my feelings. I was surprised that the parents of the man I wanted to marry acted like this. But in the end, it's Robert and I who are getting married. If I don't like his parents, I don't have to spend much time with them. So I decided not to let it bother me too much. After we got married and moved into our condo, Robert seemed worried about something. "Hey, who was that woman in the blue dress at our wedding?" "Which woman in a blue dress?" There were a few guests at our wedding who wore blue, so I couldn't figure out who he was talking about based on that alone. "You know, the one who gave a speech as your best friend." "Are you talking about Ashley?" Yes, she was wearing a blue dress. When Robert said this, he seemed a bit uneasy. What's wrong with Ashley? I asked, confused by his reaction. Oh, it's not a big deal. The other day, I thought I saw someone who looked like her when I was going to work. That's when I remembered she gave a speech as your best friend at the wedding. I was confused by Robert's sudden interest in Ashley and his flustered demeanor, but he just laughed it off and went to his room before I could ask more. A little while later, Ashley called me with some news. Listen, Emily, my boyfriend's coming back to the US next year. Ashley had been dating her boyfriend since high school. They'd known each other since elementary school, but he moved away in middle school. They kept in touch through letters and finally reunited in high school when he confessed his feelings for her. I always loved hearing Ashley's love stories. Despite her boyfriend being away working at an international branch for a few years, they stayed close and communicated regularly. Do you think he might propose once he's back, and then you guys will get married? Oh, Emily, you're always jumping to conclusions. Just make sure to invite me to the wedding. I promise I'll give a heartfelt speech. Of course. After the beautiful speech you gave at your wedding, I'll definitely need you to do the same for mine. Don't set the bar too high. We chuckled together as we sipped our tea. Our conversations flowed easily, and we trusted each other completely. Whenever one of us had a problem, the other was always there, ready to lend a listening ear. Around this time, I began to notice that Robert was coming home later and later. Working late again today. Yeah, you think I shouldn't work or something. Even after we got married, Robert held onto his dream of becoming a voice actor. He was working hard to pursue his passion, but it meant he had to take on part-time jobs to make ends meet. Unfortunately, all the money he earned from those jobs went straight into his voice acting classes, so I had to cover all our living expenses. This meant we couldn't really save up together. As time went on, I realized that Robert wasn't willing to give up on his dream for the sake of our family. I started to worry about how much overtime Robert was putting in at his part-time job. It added to my concerns about our financial situation. Hey, haven't you been working too much lately? They shouldn't be making you do so much overtime, even if it's just a part-time job. I told you I'm fine. More money is always better. Just keep your opinions to yourself. By then, Robert had stopped using my name and just called me you. When we got married, I thought he would speak to me kindly and more often, but it seemed like harsh words were all I heard from him. His once gentle voice had turned rough, and he started drinking a lot. Sometimes his voice even sounded hoarse, which worried me because voice acting requires a healthy throat. But it seemed like he didn't want to hear about it. He started avoiding talking to me, and eventually he would ignore me even when we were in the same room. That's when Ashley called me. She said she had something important to discuss. So I suggested we meet up since I had my own worries. We decided to meet at a karaoke booth so we could talk privately. Ashley seemed really cautious and picked a room where she could see the counter and staff from the door. You chose this room specifically? Yes, I wanted a spot where the staff could see if there was a suspicious person outside our door. A suspicious person? Is that related to what you wanted to discuss? Ashley nodded in response to my question. She had been feeling like someone was following her ever since she left her job about a month ago. Now, she even felt followed on her days off. The reason she chose a room where the staff could easily see was that she thought the person stalking her might try to eavesdrop on our conversation. Did you talk to the police about it? I tried, but since there's no actual contact, they can't do much. What about your boyfriend? He's coming back in a month. I thought I'd discuss it with him too, but I wanted to first talk to you, someone close by. I see. Ashley hadn't gotten a good look at her stalker because she was too scared, so she didn't know if it was a man or a woman. I decided to keep an eye out from a distance to identify the person stalking her, and through that, I came to understand who it was. Though I couldn't bring myself to discuss my troubled relationship with Robert, looking back, maybe it was for the best, because the one following my best friend Ashley was none other than my husband Robert. He would claim he had to work late every day, but after his shift, he would hang around near Ashley's workplace and follow her when she left. I couldn't believe that the person scaring Ashley was someone so close to me. When I found out, I was shocked, and the expression on Robert's face as he followed Ashley was chilling. He had this creepy, unsettling grin. I fell in love with and married this man, but the moment I saw his true face, the love I thought would last forever turned cold. I told Ashley the truth and urged her to move right away. With the help of her colleagues, she arranged for someone to drive her from the underground parking lot to her new place for a while. After we took these precautions, Robert's frustration grew, and one day, it boiled over. My parents are going to live here, so you need to go back to your parents' house. I was shocked by Robert's sudden demand, but he seemed convinced he was being reasonable. If you have a problem with that, then I'm fine with divorcing you, he said, starting to lose his temper. Even though I had my own issues with him and had considered divorce, I didn't think he could just kick me out of our home. I'm the one paying $1,800 for our monthly expenses. I wonder if Robert even remembers that. When I gave him a skeptical look, he got angry. Just leave already. My parents can't move in if you're still here. Why do I have to leave? I don't understand at all. But I said, okay, I'll take everything I bought with me. Seeing me agree, Robert just told me to hurry up and walked away. I immediately contacted a local buyback service. The next day, they came to our apartment. At first, Robert smirked, thinking I was leaving. But when he saw the workers assessing all our furniture and appliances, his eyes widened in shock. After the evaluation was done, except for what was in Robert's room, a staff member handed me a quote, saying, "The total value is $22,000. I quickly signed, saying, "Okay, sell it all." Suddenly, Robert snapped back to reality and grabbed my arm. "Why are you selling everything? My parents are going to live here. How can they if there's no furniture?" I shook off his grip. "What do you mean? When we got married, you told me you were broke because you were paying for your acting classes. You asked me to handle the rent, furniture, and living expenses. I never knew you were that broke. I feel deceived. Remember the $1,800 I've been covering every month? From now on, you'll pay that. And with your parents moving in, I bet it'll be even more." Robert went pale, but he quickly tried to regain his composure. "You thought talking about money would make me cancel the divorce? Who do you think you are?" "I've already gotten close to a rich lady," he said, striking a pose. But then I remembered Robert following Ashley recently. If what he considered getting close was his stalking behavior, then he was seriously deluded. Ashley came from a wealthy family. Her grandfather was a businessman, and now her father had taken over. Ashley truly was the perfect heiress, but she didn't flaunt it. She spent money like me and our friends, and no one judged her based on her family's wealth. However, Robert seemed to have found out about Ashley's wealthy background and decided she'd be a better match. Could he possibly think that if two people are the same age, the wealthier one is better? That infuriated me. But Ashley would never marry Robert. Her high school boyfriend, whom she'd been dating for years, was coming back to the States soon. They would likely get married. I mentioned how Ashley felt really creeped out because someone had been stalking her every day. When Robert heard that Ashley found him creepy and that they weren't close, he was shocked. "I always walked Ashley home," he said. "You're lucky I didn't call the police," I replied. "But I didn't know she had a boyfriend. He's been away. She'd pick me over someone she doesn't know. They've been writing letters since they were kids and talk almost every day. And unlike you, who's only had part-time jobs, her boyfriend is successful. Even her dad likes him." Robert looked really sad when I said all that. But when the people came to take away our stuff, he seemed to feel better. "I guess you're all I've got now. You'll always support my dream of being a voice actor, won't you?" he asked, trying to look cool. I gave him a cold stare and said sorry. "I've already started divorce proceedings. Let's talk through our lawyers from now on." Robert, maybe thinking I still liked him, held on to me. "Don't say that. Haven't we been getting along all this time?" "Getting along? When? Since you found out my best friend Ashley is rich, you've been distant and hanging out with her." Right after we got married, I realized I made a mistake. Robert started crying, even though he's older than me. Seeing him cry like a kid made me like him even less. I couldn't stand being near him anymore. "Stop it." "Oh, I also told your uncle we're getting divorced." "Your uncle? You know he's tough, right?" "Well, I've been paying all the rent and bills until now. When I told your uncle I might leave, he said he'd make you work for him. That means I can't keep studying voice acting. You hardly practice anyway. Maybe it's time to face reality. And if you go near Ashley again, I'll call the police. Goodbye." I left, determined not to turn back. For now, I'll stay with my parents, but I might move closer to work if I find a good place. As for Robert, his uncle made him work at his company just like he said he would. Then Robert's parents, who were planning to live off him after he married Ashley, also moved in. They all ended up working for the uncle. It seems like taking advantage of people runs in their family. I'm just glad I got away from that toxic situation. Age doesn't matter much, but I'll be more careful choosing my next partner. On a brighter note, after things settled with Robert, Ashley invited me to her wedding. She introduced me to her long-term boyfriend, and I truly wished them happiness. My marriage didn't work out, but I hope Ashley's lasts a long time. Did you really think you could just move your parents into our home without asking me, Ryan? I asked, my voice shaking with a mix of anger and disbelief. Ryan, my husband of 6 years, looked up from his laptop with a smirk I had grown to hate. Oh, Amelia, don't be so dramatic. It's just for a while. Besides, it's not like you have a say in this. His words felt like a slap in the face. The house, a lovely 2-story in a quiet suburb, wasn't just any house. It was the home my grandparents had left me, the place where I wanted to raise our son Lucas, away from the negativity of Ryan's family. You do remember that this house is in my name, right? I shot back, my hands clenched into fists at my sides. Ryan's smug look faded, replaced by a hint of uncertainty. Our 2-year-old son Lucas wandered into the room, oblivious to the tension. I forced a smile for him. As he reached up to me with his chubby hands, I picked him up and kissed his forehead, trying to calm down. I'm not okay with this, Ryan. Your parents have never respected me or our space. Why now? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Ryan shrugged, his indifference making me even more frustrated. Their family, Amelia. You wouldn't understand. Family. The word echoed in my mind mockingly. My own family, who ran a small but beloved coffee shop in town, had always been my safe haven. They were nothing like Ryan's controlling, overbearing parents. The doorbell rang, interrupting our standoff. Through the peephole, I saw them, Ryan's parents, suitcases in tow, ready to invade our life. My heart sank. Fine, Ryan, let them in. But this isn't over, I said angrily, handing Lucas to him before opening the door. Amelia, darling, cooed Ryan's mother as she swept past me without a second glance. His father followed, a stern man who'd barely acknowledged me since our wedding day. As they made themselves comfortable in my living room, I felt a familiar sense of intrusion. This was just the beginning, I realized. But as I watched them, something inside me changed. I was done being the compliant daughter-in-law, bending to their whims. I retreated to the kitchen, my mind racing. This was my home, my sanctuary, and I was ready to fight for it. The following days became a blur of unwanted changes. Ryan's mother, Elaine, had a knack for making herself overly present, which felt suffocating. She rearranged my kitchen, criticized my parenting, and acted as if our home belonged to her. Lucas shouldn't be eating that, Amelia. It's not healthy, Elaine scolded one morning as I prepared Lucas's breakfast. I held back a sharp reply, feeling her judgment like a slap. He's fine, Elaine. It's just cereal. She sighed, shaking her head. In our house, we believe in a proper diet. You really should learn. Her remarks felt like tiny jabs, wearing down my patience. Ryan, as usual, was no help, lost in his work and unaware of the growing tension. One evening, as I was putting Lucas to bed, Elaine barged into his room. He's still not sleeping through the night. You must be doing something wrong. Her words felt like a slap, making me doubt my abilities as a mother. I'm doing my best, I snapped back, unable to hide my frustration. Elaine's eyes narrowed. Clearly, your best isn't good enough. Maybe if you had a real job and some structure in your life. Anger surged through me. This is my house, Elaine. You're a guest here, remember that. Her laugh was cold. Oh dear, Ryan never mentioned how delusional you are. This is his house too, and as his mother, I have every right to be here. The next day, I reached my limit. I found Elaine in Lucas's room, going through his drawers. What do you think you're doing? I demanded, my voice shaking with anger. I'm just organizing. This room is a mess, she replied, not even bothering to look at me. That's it. I want you out of my house now, I exclaimed, feeling a mix of fury and desperation. Elaine turned to face me, her expression one of mock surprise. Your house? Oh, sweetie, you're just the wife. This is Ryan's house too, and he wants us here. I stormed out of the room, my mind swirling with thoughts, Ryan's betrayal, Elaine's intrusion, and how they ignored my feelings. It was too much. I was tired of being pushed around, tired of my home being invaded by people who didn't respect me. That night, as I lay in bed, a plan started forming in my mind. I was going to take back control of my life, my home, and my son's future. Ryan and his parents had crossed the line, and it was time for them to realize I wouldn't be their doormat anymore. The fight was just beginning, and I was ready. A few days later, Ryan dropped a bombshell during an already tense dinner. My parents need to stay with us longer. Their house is undergoing renovations, he said casually, as if it were no big deal. I felt my anger rise. Longer? Ryan, we never talked about them staying here in the first place. He shrugged, avoiding my eyes. It's just for a few more weeks. What's the problem? The problem? Your mother treats me like I don't belong in my own home. I snapped, frustration boiling over. Elaine, overhearing us, chimed in with her usual condescending tone. Amelia, you're overreacting. We're family. You should be more understanding. That night, sleep escaped me. Their words kept replaying in my mind, fueling a growing determination. I wasn't going to let them control me anymore. It was time to take a stand. The next morning, I called my brother Alex, who had always been there for me. They're taking over my life, Alex. I can't handle it anymore. I confessed, holding back tears. Alex's voice was strong and supportive. Amelia, you have to stand up for yourself. Don't let them push you around. It's your house, your rules. His words gave me the courage I needed. I decided to talk to Ryan, but this time, I would be prepared. I gathered evidence of Elaine's bossy behavior, the rearranged kitchen, the disrupted routines, her constant rude comments. The day of confrontation came. I waited until Elaine and Ryan were in the living room. We need to talk. Now, I declared, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside me. Ryan looked up, taken aback by my tone. What's going on, Amelia? It's about your parents, Ryan. Their constant interference, their disrespect for my boundaries. It stops today, I declared, holding up my list of complaints. Elaine scoffed. This is ridiculous. We're just trying to be helpful. Helpful? By undermining me all the time, by treating me like I don't matter in my own home. I shot back, my frustration boiling over. Ryan squirmed. Amelia, they're my parents. We can't just ask them to leave. No, Ryan. They're guests in my home, and they've stayed too long. Either they go, or I do with Lucas, I stated firmly, my determination clear. The room fell silent, my words hanging in the air. I saw Ryan's realization, but it was Elaine who spoke first. You wouldn't dare, she spat, her mask slipping. Try me. I won't regret standing up for myself, I retorted, my voice filled with determination. That night, Ryan's parents packed their bags. As they left, Elaine shot me a hateful look. You'll regret this, Amelia, she warned. But as the door closed behind them, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. It was the first step in taking back control of my life, and I was prepared for whatever challenges lay ahead. The days after Elaine and her husband left were strangely quiet. Ryan's attitude towards me became cold and distant, our interactions minimal and strained. Yet, I found comfort in the peace of my home and the joyful laughter of Lucas. One evening, as Lucas played with his toys, Ryan announced, I have to go on a business trip. I'll be gone for a few weeks. His tone was indifferent, as if our troubled relationship had taken a backseat to his work. Fine, I replied sharply, barely able to hide my relief at the thought of his absence. After Ryan left, the atmosphere in the house shifted, feeling liberating. I started undoing the changes Elaine had made, each adjustment feeling like a small victory. But the real turning point came when I stumbled upon a series of emails on Ryan's laptop, left carelessly open. They revealed an affair, a betrayal that cut deeper than any of his mother's snide remarks. Anger, hurt, and a sense of betrayal swirled inside me. I knew it was time for Ryan to face the consequences. I began planning my next moves meticulously, each step aimed at making Ryan and his family answer for their deceit and manipulation. First, I secured my financial and legal position. I contacted a lawyer, explained my situation, and started the divorce proceedings. Then I focused on the house, a symbol of my grandparents' legacy and my independence. I reached out to a real estate agent. I want to sell the house quickly and quietly, I told her. She was surprised but could sense the urgency in my voice. Are you sure about this, Amelia? Selling the house is a big step, she warned. I've never been more certain, I replied, fueled by a mix of betrayal and newfound determination. The house went on the market and offers came in quickly. The idea of Ryan returning to find his control gone brought a bittersweet satisfaction. In the midst of all this, I leaned on my family for support. My parents were shocked by Ryan's actions and stood by me and Lucas. We're here for you, no matter what, my father assured me. Watching Lucas play, unaffected by the chaos, I silently promised to shield his happiness. Ryan's return was inevitable. But I was no longer the same person he left. Armed with truth and a plan, I was ready to confront him and take back my life. The day Ryan returned was heavy with tension. I had played out this moment in my head countless times, imagining every possible scenario. Yet my heart raced as I heard his key turn in the lock. "Amelia, I'm back," Ryan called out, his voice filling the now unfamiliar space. I stepped out from the kitchen, my stance firm. "Welcome home, Ryan. We need to talk." He glanced around, noticing the changes I'd made. "What's going on? The house looks different." I didn't falter. "I sold the house, Ryan. It's no longer ours." Disbelief washed over his face. "You did what? You can't just sell our house without telling me." "It's my house, Ryan. And after what I found out, I don't think you get a say anymore," I said, my voice steady but tinged with simmering anger. He scoffed, trying to regain control. "What are you talking about?" "The affair, Ryan. I know everything," I revealed, watching as his facade crumbled. His attempt to deny it was feeble and short-lived. "Amelia, it's not what you think." "I think it's exactly what it looks like. You betrayed me, our family," I retorted, the hurt clear in my voice. Ryan's expression shifted from shock to anger. "You're overreacting. We can fix this." "There's no we anymore, Ryan." "I filed for divorce," I declared, handing him the papers. The ensuing conversation was a blur of accusations and denials. But I stood my ground. The man I married was gone, replaced by a stranger driven by selfish desires. As he stormed out, vowing to contest the divorce, I felt a mix of freedom and apprehension. I had taken the first step toward a new life, but the fight was far from over. In the following weeks, our situation became public. Ryan's once imposing parents were now entangled in their son's mess. Their attempts to reach out were met with silence. I had cut ties with them, focusing solely on Lucas and finalizing the divorce. The day of the court hearing arrived. Ryan looked defeated, the consequences of his actions finally sinking in. As the judge granted the divorce and custody of Lucas to me, I felt a sense of justice. Ryan's plea for reconciliation after the hearing fell on deaf ears. "You made your choice, Ryan. Now you have to live with it," I said, turning away from him for the last time. News of our divorce and Ryan's affair spread, tarnishing his reputation and relationships. His once proud and judgmental parents found themselves shunned by those who had once respected them. Walking out of the courthouse holding Lucas's hand, I realized this wasn't just an end, but a new beginning, a chance for me and my son to start fresh, free from deceit and manipulation. The future was uncertain, but it was ours to shape. Life after the divorce felt like stepping out of a long, dark tunnel into the light. I had regained control not just of the house, now sold, but of my life. Lucas, unaware of the grown-up troubles, flourished in the love and stability I provided. My days were busy but fulfilling, focused on rebuilding our lives and running the coffee shop, my sanctuary. The shadow of Ryan and his parents lingered, casting a pall over my life. One day, as I was closing the shop, Ryan appeared, looking disheveled and desperate, a stark contrast to the composed man I had once known. "Amelia, please, I need to talk to you," he pleaded, his eyes searching mine for a glimmer of the compassion we once shared. I hesitated, torn by conflicting emotions. "What do you want, Ryan?" "It's about the alimony and child support," he began, his voice filled with embarrassment. "I can't afford it. I lost my job because of the scandal. And my parents? They're struggling too." His words hit me like a cold shock. "That's not my problem, Ryan. You made your choices and now you have to face the consequences." "But Amelia, I have nothing left. Please, for old time's sake," he begged, his voice breaking with despair. I felt a pang of pity, but it was quickly overtaken by the memory of his betrayal. Old time's sake. Those times are gone, Ryan. You should have thought about the consequences before you cheated and lied. I turned to leave, but his next words stopped me in my tracks. "I'm sorry, Amelia. Truly, I am. I was a fool and I ruined everything. Please help me. For a moment, I glimpsed the man I once loved, vulnerable and regretful. But the pain he had caused was too deep, the betrayal too raw. I'm sorry, Ryan, but I can't help you. You need to figure this out on your own, I said firmly, closing the chapter of our shared past for good. As I walked away, leaving Ryan standing alone, I felt a sense of closure. The journey had been painful, filled with betrayal and heartache, but it had led me to a place of strength and independence. Life moved on. Lucas grew, his laughter and curiosity bringing joy to our home. The coffee shop thrived, becoming a place of warmth and community. And as for me, I found contentment in simple pleasures. The aroma of fresh coffee, the sound of Lucas's giggles, and the support of loved ones. Ryan and his parents became distant memories, their legacy a reminder of the consequences of betrayal. My journey taught me resilience and the importance of standing up for oneself. As I locked the shop that evening, I looked up at the sky, its hues signaling the end of another day. I smiled, holding Lucas's hand tightly. Our future was uncertain, but it was bright. We were moving forward, step by step, into a new chapter of our lives. My name's Jennifer, and I'm 32 years old. I work in a busy city called New York, where people believe in working hard to succeed. My husband, Donnie, is 30 and works too. We got married 2 years ago. Donnie might seem a bit unreliable sometimes, but he's actually really kind. He's good at helping out with chores around the house. I'm a career-focused woman. I love my job and feel proud when I do well. In my job, if you work hard, you can move up. But there's a downside. Sometimes they might ask you to move to a different place. And if you want to have a baby, there's no rule about taking time off. Many women quit their jobs when they get married or have kids. I used to think the same way. I wanted to focus on my career and didn't plan on getting married. When Donnie asked me to marry him, I said no at first. I told him, I love my job. I'm in charge of a team now, but I want to go even higher. I can't imagine settling down or having kids. But Donnie understood. He promised we'd share the chores and wouldn't have kids. Eventually, I agreed to marry him because he was so understanding. Both Donnie and I work, so sometimes we don't split the chores exactly as we planned. But we help each other out, and I think we do pretty well. Sometimes my in-laws make annoying comments like, "You should focus more on your home than your job," or, "When are you having kids?" But it's not too bothersome because Donnie always supports me. Living with Donnie has been nice, and I've learned to enjoy being married. Then, one day, my boss, who's the head of our department, called me about a possible move to a different office. He said, "What do you think? You'd work at a branch office for a while, but you'd come back here after 2 years. You'd have a good position there, and if you do well, you'll get promoted when you come back. You might even become the first woman to lead a department. It's a pretty good opportunity, right?" Accepting or refusing this move could decide if I'll get promoted at my job. Everyone who's become a boss or higher has done a move like this. If I say no, I might stay in my current job, but I could also get moved to a less important position. Before I got married, I would have taken this chance right away, but now, being married made me feel hesitant. I told my boss, "Thank you for thinking of me. Personally, I'm interested, but since it involves moving, I want to talk to my husband first. Can I give you an answer after that?" He said, "All right, you're married. You can choose to go alone or move with your family. Talk it over. I'm hoping for a yes." When I got home, I talked to Donnie about it. I've been offered a job transfer. I might have to move to the countryside, but if I do well for 2 years, I can come back here. And if I keep doing well, I could get promoted. I want to take this offer if you're okay with it, Donnie. We can move together, or I can go alone. What do you think? At first, Donnie was surprised, but then he thought about it and said, "If you take this transfer, Jennifer, your dream could come true, right? I can't move with you because I have my job here, but don't worry about me. Go for it." With Donnie's support, I told the company I'd go for the transfer alone and started discussing the details. They agreed to pay for my moving costs and offered some good benefits, like considering my travel days as work days. So I decided to accept the transfer to the branch office. I got the official transfer order and chose to live in a company apartment, which was affordable. On moving day, the movers had already taken my stuff, and Donnie came to say goodbye at the station. "Thanks for seeing me off. I'll keep in touch, and I'll try to come home as much as I can." Yeah, I'll be waiting. But remember, even though you're working from afar, don't overdo it, Donnie said. You too, I replied. It's time. Take care, okay, I'm heading out, Donnie said as he left. And that's how my life as a remote worker began. I planned to come home during holidays and quieter times, but things got rocky at the branch office right after I arrived. I won't take orders from a woman. How can I trust someone new like her? One of the local employees complained. I faced resistance from the staff there. They spread rumors about me, didn't listen to my instructions, and even ignored my calls. And then things got worse when a project I was overseeing had a big mistake because one of my team members deliberately kept me out of the loop. The subordinate who was responsible looked really shocked, but as the boss, it was my job to handle it. I had to fix the problem, apologize, and not only get things back on track, but also mend relationships with my team. My boss saw how tough things were for me and gave me some advice. I've been through a transfer too, so I get it. It might not seem fair, but you can't just push your way through. It's important to communicate well, understand others, and build relationships horizontally. So I followed my boss's advice. I spent more time getting to know everyone at the branch and even joined the neighborhood association since the company's housing was part of it. Before I knew it, I was so busy that I couldn't find time for myself, let alone go back home where my husband was waiting. I kept in touch with him, but after a few months of remote work, it got hard to reach him at night. I'm working late every day because work is tough. I get tired and end up falling asleep. As my husband made excuses and I got busier with work, I didn't suspect anything and focused more on my job. Once during a slow work period on a long holiday, I decided to go back home to New York on short notice. But I couldn't reach my husband by phone or text, so I returned from my remote work without telling him. When I opened the door to our home after a long time away, something felt strange. Then a woman I didn't recognize rushed to the door, saying, "Justin, welcome back. If I knew you were coming home early, I would have prepared." We both froze, staring at each other in shock. Finally, the woman spoke up, Sorry, but who are you? And who are you? This is my house. Wait, what? I live here. After arguing and getting nowhere, we decided to check the house number outside. To my surprise, it matched the custom nameplate I had ordered. The key works, and the nameplate's right. This is my house. I'm going in, I insisted. Wait, what? Stop. Ignoring her protests, I pushed past her and entered the house. Inside, everything had changed. The curtains, the furniture, all of it. There was a photo of my husband and the woman at a theme park. Mugs I'd never seen before, and unfamiliar toothbrushes and skincare items in the bathroom. The bed linens were different, and the wardrobe held only the woman's clothes. My husband's stuff was hidden away in a back room. As I stood there in shock, I heard the front door open. I'm home. Oh, Lola, did you invite a friend over? Justin, thank goodness you're back. This woman just barged into our house. The man the woman called Justin was definitely my husband, Donnie. Seeing me, he looked surprised. What are you doing here? Donnie, why is she calling you Justin? Can you explain what's happening? I asked him. What do you mean? This is Justin, right? Justin. Well, actually, my husband seemed flustered under our questioning. Lola, his real name is Donnie. Isn't that what's on your driver's license? And I'm Donnie's wife, Jennifer. That's not true. He told me he was divorced. Donnie, you need to explain everything clearly, I insisted. Jennifer, you were gone for so long, and I was lonely. So I thought I'd try a dating app, and that's where I met Lola, Donnie explained. So Justin is your fake name on the dating app? I questioned. No, it's not like that. I was worried if my real name came out. It might cause problems, so I used a different first name but kept my last name, Donnie clarified. And why did you lie about being divorced? I pressed further. Lola's profile said she'd never dated a man before and was serious about finding someone for marriage. It struck a chord with me, so I lied about being divorced to win her over. We started living together, Donnie admitted. Why would you do something like that? I asked, puzzled. At that moment, my husband began justifying his actions defiantly. It's because you're always away for work. It's natural for a man to want companionship. We've been living separate lives because of your job and the long hours. I just wanted a warm home where my wife would be there with dinner when I got back. I was shocked to hear this, as I always thought my husband understood and supported my career, but that doesn't excuse what you did. What you did was wrong. If you wanted to be with someone else, you should have ended our marriage first. Why didn't you do the right thing? I cared about both of you. I never wanted to leave either of you. After everything you've done, I was bound to find out when I came back. It's unbelievable that you thought you could deceive me like this. Well, it's your fault for not keeping your promise and coming back. If you had, I wouldn't have even thought about cheating. What on earth? I've told you how hard work has been, and you still did this. I yelled, feeling a mix of anger and hurt. Our argument escalated into a shouting match, with the woman my husband cheated with standing there, looking stunned. She realized she'd been tricked by a married man into his mess. So everything was a lie. You played me for a fool. I'm leaving right now, she exclaimed. Lola, wait, it's not what you think, my husband pleaded, but it was too late. My husband tried to stop the other woman from leaving, but she brushed him off, repulsed. Don't touch me with your filthy hands. I can't believe a single word you say. She cursed before storming out, packing her things and leaving for her parents' house. Furious with my husband, I decided to take action against his betrayal. Gathering evidence, I brought it back with me when I returned to work. The first thing I did was hire a detective to look into my husband's mistress. The investigation revealed that she was the daughter of an executive at a company partnered with my husband's workplace. I had a lawyer send proof of the affair to both my husband's home and the other woman's parents. When my husband received the documents, he protested, saying he didn't want a divorce. So I prepared for a tough legal battle, even considering going to court. The other woman's family contacted my lawyer, and we arranged to meet at their office. They apologized to me, and the other woman admitted her wrongdoing. We're truly sorry. Our daughter caused you so much trouble, and we didn't even know about it. She's always been very sheltered and naive about the world. We've been trying to arrange a marriage for her, but she wanted a more free-spirited love. She met your husband without our knowledge and got carried away without knowing who he really was. She thought she found a divorced man on a dating app and wanted to move in with him. We told her to stop seeing him, but she didn't listen. She was so caught up in her fantasies that she ran away from home to be with him. Our daughter was shocked to find out she was the other woman and blames herself. She's getting therapy now. We're willing to pay you $50,000 as a settlement and hope you'll keep this matter private. The other woman and her parents shook my hand firmly. I understand your apology, but I have one condition. I'm preparing for a divorce, but my husband won't agree. If you're willing to cooperate and provide testimony if this goes to trial, then I'll accept the settlement. Okay, we'll cooperate, but we don't want our daughter to have a permanent record of this. Is there any other way we can help punish him? Well, it just so happens that his workplace is our client. In an unexpected turn of events, the woman my husband cheated with and I teamed up. We planned to give him a taste of his own medicine. His workplace was about to face a crisis because he had upset an executive at one of their client companies. And guess who would take the fall? Only my husband. Meanwhile, back at home, his parents were trying to reach out to him, unaware of the chaos. Jennifer isn't answering our calls, and she won't call back either. Is she so caught up in work that she forgot about us? When is she coming back? We miss seeing our grandchild, his mother said. Mom, you don't get it. I cheated on Jennifer while she was away, and now it looks like we're headed for divorce, my husband confessed. His mother replied, that woman who puts work before her husband is to blame. Maybe it's better if you end things with Jennifer and get back together with the woman you cheated with. My in-laws seem to think that the other woman's family had more money than ours, so they sided with my husband and his lover, attacking me relentlessly. They called me repeatedly, but I blocked their calls. Then they started calling me at work. When I refused to talk to them, they showed up at my workplace, causing a scene. Let go of our son. It's because of you being such a career-focused woman that our son cheated. He'd be happier with his lover, so stop interfering, they demanded. What are you even saying? I want to divorce Donnie. He's the one refusing. Plus, the woman he cheated with doesn't want him back. He tricked the daughter of a big-shot executive into dating him, and they're furious. It's going to be a big mess, I explained. Once they realized their son had angered an important client, my in-laws suddenly changed sides and tried to be nice to me. We had no idea it was this serious. We must have misunderstood. We're sorry. Our son messed up, but he feels bad. You'll forgive him, right, Jennifer? They pleaded. I have to decline. You just insulted me, and now you're asking for forgiveness? Please leave, I told them firmly. When they refused to leave, I had security escort them out. Because of the scene they caused, my company decided to sue them for disrupting business. After all the drama, I finally got the compensation from my husband and got the divorce. The other woman's family also demanded compensation for their daughter's suffering and therapy costs. With the loss of his job and having to pay hefty settlements, my husband was now in deep debt. He couldn't afford to quit, and he was trapped. 2 years had passed since my assignment started. When everything settled down, I finished my assignment successfully and was getting ready to go back to the main office. My hard work paid off, and I got promoted to department manager. If I hadn't taken the assignment, I might still be stuck in a loveless marriage. But I realize now that a man like him would have cheated sooner or later, and I would have clashed with his parents anyway. I've learned that I'm better suited for work than family life, and I'm incredibly fulfilled and happy now.
A funeral dress with a skirt that's too revealing makes me angry. It seems like you're trying to attract men by wearing it. I'm tired of my husband's unfair thoughts. I want a divorce. I'm leaving this house. My name is Kate, and I'm 40 years old. I love chocolate a lot and often end up eating a whole family-sized bar by myself without realizing it. I used to fight with my sister over chocolate when we were younger. Looking back, I wasn't always a mature big sister, but I've seen adults who act even less mature than I did when I was 25. Back then, I had just married my husband, Kevin, who worked at a bank. We met through a friend and got married after about 6 months of dating. Everyone thought I had a perfect life. But things changed after we got married. Every day, when Kevin came home from work, I would greet him and ask about dinner. If it wasn't ready, he'd get upset. So, I made sure to come home before him, cook dinner, and clean up. It was a bit annoying, but Kevin's good salary allowed us to live in a nice house and have a comfortable life. I thought it was normal to have little arguments in a marriage, so I didn't pay much attention to it. But Kevin's behavior kept getting worse. Despite being married, I still visited my parents often, especially to see my 14-year-old sister who was much younger than me. Since our parents worked a lot, I felt like I raised her most of the time. It wasn't because my parents ignored her, but because I loved her so much and wanted to take care of her. My sister was often sick and had to stay in the hospital. Sometimes the doctors would say she might not make it through the night. Thinking about losing her made me love her even more. That's why even after I got married, I continued to visit my sister when she was out of school. But my husband didn't like it. He would say things like, "Who is more important, me or your sister?" When a woman gets married, she should focus on her husband's family. My mother never acted like this. "You're not doing your duty as a wife." He'd go on like this for almost an hour. None of my friends were married at the time, so when I talked to a senior coworker about my husband, she said, "It's your responsibility. When you're married, you have to prioritize your husband." I thought that's how it was supposed to be. Looking back, I realized I was naive. But even then, I couldn't imagine not seeing my sister. My sister's health was getting worse, and she was in the hospital again, only allowed short visits in a sterile room. It's natural for a family to want to be together in times like these. Sometimes, I'd even take a day off from work to go see her, and I started going to the hospital even on days when my husband was off. But my husband strongly disagreed with this. One day, out of the blue, he invited his mother, my mother-in-law, over to our house. With her there, he confronted me. "What are you even thinking? I work hard to take care of our home, and you can't even do that properly. You're just hopeless. I've told you so many times not to wear skirts, yet you still do. It's inappropriate for a married woman to wear a skirt. What's the problem with me wearing the clothes I like? And this dress was chosen by my sister. I can't just give up on it." See, there you go again, always bringing up your sister Kate. You should be caring more about me. After all, who do you think supports you? Hey, I work too. You can't just claim you're the only one providing. This argument isn't getting us anywhere. Listen, I've already called your workplace and told them you're quitting. You should be thankful. From now on, your focus will be on taking care of the house. What are you talking about? You can't make decisions like this without asking me first. I'm not going to listen to you. Starting today, you're going to live with my mom. Maybe then you'll learn how to be a proper wife. I don't understand what's gotten into you. You're acting irrationally. Shut up. The angry husband smashed a glass on the floor and continued to throw things around in his rage. Seeing the broken glass made me truly scared of my husband for the first time. I regretted marrying him, wondering how I ended up with someone like him. Later, I tried to cancel my resignation with my company, but they told me not to cause any trouble. It turned out my husband had demanded my resignation in a way that was almost abusive, so I lost my job and had to stay at home as my husband wanted. When I told him I quit my job as he wished, he apologized with a smile, saying he might have gone too far. But after seeing his true nature, I couldn't trust his apology. The next day, my husband surprised me by bringing home a group of his coworkers. He proudly introduced me, saying, "I wanted to show off my lovely wife," and his colleagues joined in, praising my appearance. Then, out of the blue, he declared, "My wife is an amazing cook. You have to taste her food before you leave." I panicked, realizing we didn't have enough food for everyone. "It's fine, just make something simple." "I don't want you to stress out," he reassured me. "I can go shopping if we need more ingredients," one of his female coworkers offered. "Your husband really cares about you. I'm jealous," he added. "No, he's just good at putting on a show. If he really cared, he wouldn't have brought his coworkers home after a big fight yesterday." I thought bitterly to myself as I started cooking with my mother-in-law. After about 3 hours of eating and drinking, his coworkers finally left. "Hi, you." "What?" I instinctively replied, feeling nervous about what might happen next, given his grumpy mood. I was anxious, afraid he might explode like the day before. "Can't you be a bit happier? Seems like I'm not teaching my wife properly," he criticized. I couldn't understand what I did wrong, but I didn't dare to argue. I was too scared. "I'm sorry," I mumbled, feeling defeated. "Even a child can apologize," he scoffed. "Mom, give her a score for today." He turned to his mother for backup. "Well, she's not doing a good job supporting her husband, is she?" "I can't give her any score," his mother replied. "Haha, see, even my mom agrees. She can't even give you a score. How funny is that?" My husband laughed and lightly tapped me. "And about the meal, I tasted a bit. But didn't Kevin find it unsatisfactory?" he continued. "That's right, Mom. Keep it coming. And what about her clothes?" "There were men among the colleagues, but she's showing too much skin. What do you think?" "As a woman, it's indecent to expose your collarbone. She should cover it with a scarf or turtleneck," he added. Whose fault is it that his colleagues suddenly invaded our house and I had to cook without even having time to change my clothes? I retorted. "It's Kevin's," I concluded. I couldn't understand why I was constantly being criticized so harshly. She really is something, isn't she? Despite my efforts to teach her every day, she just doesn't seem to learn. "Maybe she's just not very smart," my husband remarked. "No doubt about it," his mother agreed. That day, I endured a lecture for nearly 2 hours. By the time I finally got a chance to take a bath and go to sleep, it was almost 4 a.m. I had to wake up soon to prepare my husband's lunchbox, so I decided to skip sleep altogether. Despite everything, my husband continued to try to teach me a lesson, especially when I kept visiting my younger sister. About a month and a half later, I received the heartbreaking news of my sister's passing. "I wished it was a lie," I murmured, desperately hoping that my mother's announcement of my sister's passing was just a cruel joke. I had been warned countless times about my sister's critical condition, and I had even shared what I thought would be my last moments with her. I thought I was prepared, but my heart couldn't accept the reality. She was only 14 years old. I questioned whether my sister, who endured painful treatments and constant hospital stays, had truly found happiness in her life. As her older sister, had I been able to bring her joy? However, the last expression I saw on her face in the hospital was a smile. It seemed she hadn't suffered. "You fought bravely and you did your best. Thank you for everything," I whispered through tears as I hugged my sister and bid her a final farewell. The funeral passed in a blur, and I realized I hadn't been home for several days. I informed my husband about my sister's passing, but as expected, he didn't bother to attend the funeral. Instead, he said something hurtful like, "You should prioritize me over the dead." Unable to bear such cruel words at such a time of grief, I ignored him and hung up the phone. When I finally returned home, weighed down by sorrow, my husband and mother-in-law were waiting for me at the door, looking stern and unwelcoming. "You're quite late, aren't you?" my husband remarked. "A family member has passed away," I couldn't just come back in a few hours. How can you accuse me of lying so easily? I replied, feeling hurt and frustrated. What? Are you going through a rebellious phase? Always lying and defying me. Whose wife do you think you are? He retorted. Wait a minute, my sister really did die. It's not a lie, I insisted. I wonder. Even though you haven't greeted me at the door in days, even if you're wearing a skirted suit now, it's hard to believe you, he replied dismissively. Why is it hard to believe? I asked, confused and upset. If you truly love your husband, you should be able to do it. It's your duty as a wife to welcome your husband home. My husband scolded me, accusing me of being incompetent, and don't even think about denying it. Are you having an affair? What? No matter how many times I tell you, he dressed provocatively, and the other day you were flirting with my colleague. You're just interested in other men, aren't you? What a disgraceful woman, he continued, hurling hurtful accusations at me. What the heck? I started to argue back, fueled by anger and forgetting my fear of my husband. But then it happened. Divorce, huh? Fine by me. Someone as frivolous as Kate isn't fit for Kevin, right? My mother-in-law chimed in. My husband mumbled, trying to stop her, but I seized the opportunity. I agree with Mom. Let's get a divorce, I declared firmly. My husband kept pleading with me to reconsider, but I had made up my mind. I couldn't risk staying with him any longer, afraid that his violence might escalate. This was my chance, and I was certain it was the right time to end our marriage. So I quickly packed my things and left the house. My husband kept insisting, if you apologize, I'll forgive you. But I ignored him, thinking he must be delusional. He persisted until the end, grabbing my arm tightly and saying, wait. But I reacted instinctively, hitting him in the face with my bag and running away. I headed straight for a specific place, a room in an apartment that I had prepared just in case something like this happened. As soon as I entered the room, I received a call from my mother-in-law on my cell phone. Hello. Kate, did you arrive safely? She asked concernedly. Yes, I'm fine. I'm in a taxi, so Kevin won't find out, I reassured her. That's good. Make sure to hire a lawyer and proceed with the divorce quickly, she advised. Yes, I can't wait to start living independently, I replied. In reality, my mother-in-law and I had been pretending to be at odds in front of my husband. It all began the day my husband brought a colleague home. After his lecture ended and my husband fell asleep, my mother-in-law approached me. Leave this house. Get away from my son, she urged me. Each time my husband criticized me, my mother-in-law, who seemed to have her suspicions, would ask, Really? It turned out her late husband had been very much like my husband, and she had endured a lot in her own marriage. In her generation, divorce was frowned upon, so she couldn't end her own marriage. But it seems she wanted something better for me. Watching the interactions between my husband and me, she must have felt compelled to help me. That's when my mother-in-law, with the help of a friend, found a safe place for me to live alone. It's hard to believe she's related to my husband. I can't thank her enough for her kindness. After living in the apartment she arranged for me for 2 weeks, my mother-in-law finally visited, pulling along a suitcase. Welcome. I'm looking forward to this new chapter, she greeted me warmly. Living with us, my mother-in-law discovered that her own son had changed. Before, he seemed like a good person, the image he presented to his colleagues. My mother-in-law blamed herself, believing that his behavior was influenced by his father's genes or things he witnessed during his childhood. For me, regardless of the reasons behind his behavior, I believe the real issue lies in his inability as an adult to control his emotions. So, I don't hold my mother-in-law responsible. My husband now takes good care of my mother-in-law, but only because he thinks she's on his side. I fear what he might do if he discovers she's been helping me with the divorce. That's why I suggested she come live with me for a while when she prepared this house. At first, she hesitated, worrying that once my husband and I divorce, she'd become a stranger to me. But I assured her, saying, after everything you've done for me, there's no daughter-in-law distinction. You're like my mother or my sister. That's how I see you. On the way back from my sister's funeral, my mother-in-law steered the conversation toward divorce, intentionally supporting me. Recognizing her intentions, I quickly agreed to the divorce. I thought it would take more time and preparation to leave my husband, but thanks to my mother-in-law's help, that time came sooner than expected. I have nothing but gratitude for her. Finally, the divorce was officially settled through the lawyer. 4 days later, as I returned to the apartment, I was startled to find my ex-husband waiting for me outside. "I found you. You're trying to trick me," he accused loudly. Does he know about what happened? I wondered silently, trying to remain composed. "What do you want now?" I asked, keeping my voice steady. "It's your fault that the credit card and bank account balances have decreased," he blamed me. "What are you talking about?" "I don't understand," I replied, feigning innocence. In truth, before the divorce, I was using my husband's credit card to gradually buy furniture for this house. I also quietly withdrew money from the bank account. It was all part of my plan, I confessed. When I discussed this with my mother-in-law, she encouraged me to go ahead with it, so I emptied the account without any hesitation. The reason why my unemployed mother-in-law and I can live comfortably, enjoying tea parties every night, is because of this money. That's my money. "You can't just do whatever you want without facing the consequences," he shouted angrily. "Remember the money we have? It's from the credit card we got after we got married and the money we saved together. Since we're married, it's both of ours," I explained, smiling at him. Suddenly, my mother-in-law returns from shopping and says, "Oh, you found out, didn't you?" Surprised, my ex-husband stands speechless behind me. "Hey, you're back," I greet my mother-in-law, trying to keep things normal. "What? Why is Mom here?" my husband asks, confused. "Well, because we're living together," I respond, with my husband still puzzled and my mother-in-law acting like it's no big deal. "So, you lied about going back to your parents' house, and why are you living with Kate, not me?" he questions. "I'm lost," Kevin admits. "Well, I've lost hope in you, Kevin," his mother replies. "What? But I'm the one who helped Kate get away," Kevin protests. "Actually, Kevin, Kate and I had already planned to split up before you even knew about it," his mother reveals. "But Mom, you were saying terrible things about Kate." "Yes, well, when I was criticizing her, I was really imagining you in her place," his mother confesses. "What do you mean?" Kevin asks, confused. "Because you're not the sharpest tool in the shed, and you get all worked up over silly things like a woman showing her collarbone. I was worried Kate would be in trouble. She deserved someone better than you for a husband," Kevin's mother bluntly tells him. Kevin is taken aback by his mother's harsh words. Meanwhile, I find her response so unexpectedly funny that I burst into laughter. "Mom, you do realize I'm your son, don't you?" Kevin asks, trying to make sense of it. "Unfortunately, yes." "I guess I should have raised you differently," his mother responds dryly. I can't help it, and my laughter grows even louder. "You're just a chit off the old block, like your dad. Watching you mistreat Kate reminded me of my own past. I worried that if she left you, you'd come crawling back to me. I couldn't take that chance, so I left you and moved in with Kate, for both our sakes," Kevin's mother explains. Kevin's mother's confession brings tears to his eyes. He finally explodes, "Is it my fault? Why? You're my child. You've been neglecting me." His mother laughs, almost incredulously. "Do I still need to mother a grown man who's almost 30, she scoffs. A few neighbors gathered as our argument escalated in the yard. They chuckled at my ex-husband's dramatic outburst, saying, "He's really making a scene." With people watching, he didn't dare lay a hand on us and retreated to his house. But the next day, he seemed to have completely lost it. He started spreading rumors about us to his friends and co-workers who used to hang out at our place. My ex may seem nice, but she ignores her husband, he complained to anyone who would listen. One woman at his office fired back, "You know, your behavior is exactly why women are wary of their husbands. It's becoming a societal problem." Although no one openly agreed, the vibe at work made it clear that Kevin was in the wrong, and he felt increasingly isolated. In the end, my ex-husband, who turned out to be quite sensitive, couldn't handle the judgmental stares and whispers anymore. He quickly quit his job. It's ironic how he was so quick to criticize me but couldn't handle criticism himself. How sad. Feeling alone, he sent me a lengthy letter trying to justify his behavior and boasting about his greatness as a man. The letter was a whopping 10 pages long. I was surprised when I received the thick envelope. I had blocked his texts, but if he could write this much by hand, I can only imagine how many texts he would have sent. His final line was, "If you ever miss me, feel free to contact me." So I playfully replied, Then please go ahead with the property division. That sparked another big argument. I used to be afraid when we lived together, but not anymore. I stood my ground with my lawyer. Even before his mother suggested I leave, I had secretly been recording his behavior at home, preparing for a divorce. All those months enduring his hurtful words paid off. With the evidence, I successfully sorted out the property division. After that, I moved out from living with my ex-mother-in-law when I found a new job. It was still close enough for a reasonable commute. Surprisingly, she had found herself a boyfriend. It turned out the person who introduced us to the apartment was her new beau. She left with him, holding hands, and said, "Come visit us once we're settled." I must admit, my ex-mother-in-law really surprised me. She's a fantastic woman, and it's clear why she's so well liked, regardless of her age. As for me, I spent my best years focused on work after changing careers, thinking I might have missed my chance for remarriage. However, I started joining regular online gatherings with my colleagues. This gave me more opportunities to casually exchange contact info with people I didn't usually talk to, including a director from another department who showed interest in me. At first, I kept my distance because we worked for the same company. But as we began having private online chats about things we couldn't discuss at work, we grew closer and eventually started dating. The head of the department, who hadn't been in a relationship for years since his last girlfriend left him because of his workaholic tendencies, treated me with caution, saying, "I don't want to repeat the same mistake." And happily, we decided to tie the knot next year. I was concerned that his parents might not approve of me, considering I've been divorced before and he's getting married for the first time. However, I'm relieved to see his parents are accepting and even grateful, saying, "Thank you for being with our son." When I shared the news of my upcoming marriage with my ex-mother-in-law, she was genuinely happy for me. Oh, and about my ex-husband, it seems he found a job at a different bank and got remarried. But knowing his personality, it's likely he's been divorced again. That makes it 3 divorces now. He works at a bank and initially comes off as charming, but he tends to blame his ex-wives for the divorces, which makes it seem like women fall for him. Even when my ex-mother-in-law tries to warn women about his true nature at wedding receptions, he manages to manipulate them skillfully. Well, after 3 divorces, it's likely he'll start being avoided by women. I just hope there won't be any more victims. With the way he's going, he probably won't have a good ending because he's likely disliked by many women. But honestly, it's not my concern anymore.
Hi, it's Tara here, and I've got a story to tell you. It happened a few months ago, but it's still fresh in my mind. I want to share it to help you understand toxic behavior and when to stand up against it. I'm 32 years old and live with my husband Stephen, who's also 32, and our kitten. Stephen and I have been together since high school. We got married young and went to different colleges, but our relationship stayed strong. Next month, we'll celebrate 15 years together, but there's a hitch. My mother-in-law, Lily, won't be joining us. Lily never really warmed up to me. She has 2 sons, and she's always doted on them since they were born. In her eyes, no one is good enough for her boys. When Steve and his older brother C were kids, they enjoyed all the attention from their mom. They loved her a lot and didn't notice how controlling she could be. As they got older, Lily's controlling ways became a problem for her teenage sons. They weren't allowed to date or hang out with girls outside of school. Lily didn't let them have sleepovers with friends and threatened to punish them if they argued. Steve and Sean went to the same high school as me, so I knew them a bit. While Steve kinda agreed with Lily's rules, Sean rebelled. He often got in trouble for sneaking out and hanging out with girls. His mom even came to school once to threaten his girlfriend at the time. What Lily didn't realize was that Sean had grown a backbone and didn't listen to her anymore. He stood up for Jessie, his now wife, when Lily tried to scare her away and insult her. When they turned 18, they started avoiding Lily more and more. Lily wasn't happy about it at all. Stephen also thought Sean went too far. We were still new in our relationship, so I didn't say much to avoid arguments. But then Lily started targeting me. She did everything she could to break us up, even planning an expensive trip to Hawaii during prom week to keep us apart. Stephen did ask her to cancel the trip, but that was the only time he stood up to her. Whenever Lily criticized me and said hurtful things, Stephen didn't defend me. He even started believing her when she said I might cheat on him when we went to different colleges. We ended up taking a short break and Lily took Stephen out to celebrate our breakup. She never thought Stephen would come back to me. She was furious that we got back together. She kept harassing and humiliating me every chance she got. I tried talking to Steven about it, but it didn't go well. Hey Tara, you know my mom is really disrespectful to me. I've always tried to be nice to her, but all she does is criticize me and call me names. I'm getting fed up with it. Can you talk to her about it? Tara, my mom's still upset about what happened with Scene. She's worried about losing me too. She just wants what's best for me and my future. Try not to take her words too personally. So you're okay with how Lily treats me? Seriously, Steve, remember when she tried to break us up? She only did that because she was worried you might cheat. If you had cheated on me, I would have been really hurt. She was just trying to protect me from getting hurt. Are you serious? She used your fears against you to break us up. How can you defend that? No matter what I said, Steve never saw things from my point of view. He always thought I was overreacting and believed Lily was just trying to protect him. He refused to believe me when I said Lily calls me to criticize me. He insisted Lily would never do such a thing and accused me of lying. Even Scene tried to talk sense into him. After hearing everything, Steve argued with Scene, saying he betrayed their mom. Things got weird between Scene and Steve. Scene ended up marrying Jessica, the same girl Lily tried to scare off. He invited Steve and me but didn't tell Lily about the wedding. Lily was furious and tried to get Steve to convince Scene to invite her. Steve, always siding with his mom, argued with Scene because of Lily. He almost didn't go to the wedding to support her. I said to him, "Are you really going to skip the wedding to support Lily? Remember what she did to Scene and Jesse in high school? She still complains about Jesse and blames her for taking Scene away. Why should they invite her to their wedding? Look, you don't know everything. It's all a big misunderstanding. Mom was just trying to do what she thought was best for Scene. She can get carried away sometimes, but she's willing to patch things up. We're family and we shouldn't hold grudges. It's their wedding, and they can choose who to invite. It's not our place to make demands. We should respect their decision. I know I can't change much, but that's why I'm not going to the wedding. I want them to realize they're making a mistake. I'll RSVP tomorrow. They'll still have time to reconsider." Stephen, if you skip the wedding, they might cut you out too. They've already done that to Lily. Are you sure you want to risk losing your brother over this? After a lot of arguing, he finally agreed to go to the wedding. I was relieved, hoping things might improve. He saw how happy Scene and Jesse are without Lily's interference. They even moved far away and had the wedding there to keep Lily away. When Stephen showed Lily the pictures, she lost it. She cried on his shoulder and made him stay with her for a month. He even canceled our trip to Colorado to make it up to her. I was really upset by how he handled everything. However, I knew our love ran deep, and breaking up wasn't an option anymore. I just hoped Stephen would see the truth about Lily's awful behavior. Fast forward to 2 years ago, Stephen finally proposed, and I said yes. Lily was upset but pretended to be happy for him. Later, I found out she refused to give him her engagement ring because she thought I was a gold digger and our marriage wouldn't last. I love the ring Stephen picked for me. We're both engineers, so we make good money. He could afford to buy the ring himself. Plus, I'd rather wear something he chose than have Lily's jewelry. Wedding planning was a mess. Lily kept getting involved in everything, from cake tasting to picking a venue. She had to have a say in everything. She didn't like my ideas and tried to change the theme. Lily said my vintage theme was boring and tacky. I ignored her, but Stephen didn't. We discussed every decision carefully. I finally spoke up. "This is getting ridiculous. It's our wedding, not hers. Your mom needs to give us space to decide for ourselves. I don't want her input on everything. She hates everything I choose. You need to tell her to back off." "Tara, Mom just wants what's best for us. She's been to more weddings than us. So her input could be helpful in the future. You know, she missed Scene's wedding. She just wants to enjoy mine." I'm tired of hearing that excuse. She deserved to be uninvited from Scene's wedding. That was all her fault because Jesse didn't let her interfere. I won't let her control everything. She's welcome to be involved, but she can't criticize my choices. This is our wedding, Stephen. She already had hers. After a lot of persuading, he finally told Lily to back off. She threw a fit but calmed down a bit. Unfortunately, Stephen still went along with a lot of her choices. I was sad at first, but I knew it was also Stephen's day, so I went along to avoid more trouble. I wasn't confident enough to stand up for myself, and Stephen was too influenced by his mom to think clearly. The wedding turned into another disaster when Lily showed up in a white dress that looked like a bridal gown. Thankfully, Stephen realized the problem and insisted she change before the ceremony. She pretended she didn't have another dress. But my maid of honor came to the rescue with a dress I had bought for her. Lily had no choice but to wear it. During the reception, she made tearful speeches about feeling like she was losing her sons to awful women like me and Jessie. She tried to make herself out to be the victim and criticize our relationships. It made everyone uncomfortable, even her own family. My maid of honor took the microphone away and tried to lighten the mood. On our honeymoon, Lily called us constantly, crying about feeling lonely. She called Stephen repeatedly, and when she couldn't reach him, she called me. "Where's my boy? What have you done to him? It's only been a month since the wedding, and you're already taking him away. No matter what you do, he'll always choose me over you. He'll never love you more than his mama." "Lily, we're on our honeymoon. You can't keep calling us like this." Stephen's phone died, so he went back to our room to charge it. "Why would I keep him away from you? I know how you are, Tara. All you want is his money. You can't stand the fact that he supports me. He sends me money and gifts every month. You want to isolate him so you can take all his money. But I won't let that happen. He's been taking care of me since his father died 10 years ago." "Lily, I don't care if he supports you. You're his mom, so of course, he helps you out. I earn enough for both of us, so I don't want his money anyway. You need to stop accusing me." "Shut up. You may fool him, but I know what kind of woman you are. Now give the phone to my son right now. I need to talk to him." Dealing with her on our honeymoon was just one of many tough conversations. When we got home, she cried for days because we didn't take her along. It was surprising when she scolded Stephen for going without her. But as usual, he focused on comforting her and ignored my concerns. I was slowly learning to handle her tantrums and speak up for myself. Things were okay until I found out I was pregnant. We were thrilled, and Stephen wanted to tell Lily right away. I was nervous, but I figured she'd be happy about her first grandchild. I couldn't have been more wrong. As soon as she found out, she started crying and yelling. She accused me of trapping Stephen with a baby to take him away from her. She even claimed I cheated on him and was passing off the baby as his. My husband tried to calm her down, but she wouldn't listen. I was tired of her drama by then. Her tantrums lasted for 2 weeks before she decided to visit us. She came early in the morning and let herself in with a spare key. Lily acted overly happy about the baby and even brought me gifts. Stephen thought she had finally accepted the baby, but I wasn't so sure. That evening, Lily offered to make us tea because it was chilly outside. Stephen was grateful for her kindness and gave me a look like he was saying, "See, I told you she's okay now." I decided to investigate. I excused myself and went to the kitchen to check on Lily. I saw her making tea and adding something from a carton. Both my husband and I are allergic to lactose, so we only use a specific brand of oat milk. The carton Lily used wasn't ours. She used the oat milk for 1 cup and the other carton for the other. I thought maybe she was just using a different kind of vegan milk for variety. But I was still uneasy when she handed me the suspicious mug. I panicked and switched cups with my husband when they weren't looking. We drank our tea, but Lily just smirked at me the whole time. Luckily, nothing happened that night. But in the early hours of the morning, I heard my husband throwing up in the bathroom. He kept going back and forth, and it woke me up. Eventually, he came out and lay down on the couch, looking like he was in a lot of pain. Lily came out too and looked worried when she saw him suffering. She started crying. That's when I realized she had used cow milk in our tea. I was furious, but first, I had to get Stephen to the hospital. I called 911, and they sent an ambulance. Stephen was in a lot of pain and almost passed out. We got to the hospital, and the doctor said he needed to stay overnight. When the doctor came for a consultation, I made Lily confess to everything in front of Stephen. She was worried about her son, so it wasn't hard to get her to admit it. The doctor shook his head and said Stephen needed to stay in the hospital for a day. Stephen looked troubled, and suddenly he started to see through Lily's actions. He was baffled by what she had done. He asked her, "Mom, you know I'm allergic to milk. Why did you use it? We don't even keep cow milk in our fridge. Why did you bring it here? And Tara doesn't drink cow milk either, you know that." "Stephen, believe me, I didn't mean to hurt you. I don't know how this happened. I know you can't have milk. I'm your mother." "Then why did you put milk in my tea, Mom? What happened?" Lily just kept crying in a corner. That's when I decided to tell him the truth. I know why Lily brought cow milk into our home. You see, it wasn't meant for you. It was meant for me. What? Tara, you can't have cow milk either. Lily knows that. Why would she bring cow milk for you? I don't understand. Lily wanted to hurt me and our baby. I don't know why, but she wanted me to suffer. She gave me the cup you drank from. I switched our cups because I didn't want to risk our child's health. Turns out, I was right. There's no way she would do that. You're lying, Tara. Mom, say something. You told me you were happy for us. Tell me you didn't do this. Lily started wailing and screaming. It got so loud that a nurse had to take her out. None of us wanted her there anymore. Stephen was shocked and traumatized by what she did. He apologized to me and promised to keep Lily away from our lives. I comforted him as best I could and took him home the next day. I changed the locks on our house while he was in the hospital. He called Lily and told her we were cutting off contact for good. More crying and wailing followed. Mom, after what you've done, I don't want you around. I've always defended you, but I see now how much you've hurt my family. I won't allow it anymore. You've crossed the line. Stephen, please. I didn't mean for this to happen. I felt lonely because you were spending all your time with her. I thought the baby would make things worse. I just wanted to hurt her a little and make her suffer. I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't change what you did. It's unforgivable. I can't even imagine what would have happened if Tara drank the tea you gave her. I'm disgusted with you, and I don't want to hear from you again. Leave us alone. With that, we started cutting off contact with her. She showed up at the house and tried to get in with her keys. When she saw we changed the lock, she started banging on the door. We called the cops and let them handle it. We blocked her on all our phones and social media. Sean and Jesse informed our extended family about the situation. Everyone was disgusted and appalled by her behavior. After discussing Lily's actions with me, Stephen, Sean, and Jesse, we decided to get a restraining order against her. We had evidence from our security cameras and her confession to the doctor. The order was granted quickly. So far, she stayed away but has tried to gather information from our extended family. No one has entertained her demands, and we've cut off financial support, so she had to get a job at Walmart. We're rebuilding our relationship with Sean and Jesse. Stephen and Sean had a heart-to-heart conversation and resolved their issues. Jesse and I were always close, so this brought us even closer. Thankfully, my husband has finally seen the truth and protected me from Lily. We're happy and eagerly awaiting the birth of our child. To be safe, I made it clear to Stephen that Lily won't have a relationship with our child. To my surprise, he agreed immediately. Our household is peaceful now that Lily's gone for good. We might move to Scene City after our child is born. I'm not sure what the future holds, but I know we'll face it together.